CalazCon is a show about war, obsession, colonialist occupation, and the many forms of violence those inflict. See the description for content warnings specific to this episode.
Welcome back, CalazCon. One last time here with the Blue Sky Endowment. This episode is sponsored by Matt Mitchell. I'm Peace. You can find me at Drucifer3939 on Twitter if that still exists when you're listening to this. You can find me at Piece of Crap on Blue Sky, I think co-host. Today I'm joined by Devin.
Hey, I'm Devin. You can find me everywhere at Devin Decibel. And I don't feel like plugging all my stuff.
Okay.
You know what's up.
Do you want to tell them who you are in the game?
Oh yeah, I'm in quotation marks, the late Adrian Weaver.
Yeah. Devin does do the music for this show, so please check that out if you enjoyed hearing it. Next on my list is JPG.
Hi everyone, I'm JPG. I am playing Lieutenant Koa Voltus under the Officer Playbook. And wait, what else did you want me to plug?
So whatever you want to, man.
Oh, sure. Social media at Speaker JPG.
You would imagine in your head that we would get better at doing these intros over the course of the show, and well, just listen back and make your own decisions.
You have to understand, it's like 4 a.m. in California right now.
It's 3 a.m. in a warehouse.
It's 8:40. I'm also in California.
Devin, be cool. Just let us sound
Be cool about it, Devin. We were pretending it's earlier than it is. Now I'm also joined by Marigold.
Hey, I'm Mary. I am playing Winter's Pledge, and you can find the games that I write at braverun.itch.io.
That's so cool. I wish I had an itch.io store. Maybe someday. But yeah, go check out Mary's games.
They're pretty easy to make.
Yeah, They're
free.
The Mary's games are extremely cool, and I sincerely recommend you go check them out. And
speaking of which, DevinDecibel.itch.io. I know I wasn't plugging stuff before, but now I'm going to put it.
Also, go check out Devin's games. They are also very cool. We have cool people in this squad. And the last cool person we're going to meet today is Lauren.
Hello, I'm Lauren Peterson. You can find me on social media at DM_LSP, and you check out my itch.io shop at itch.io/DMLSP. I've got some cool games up there as well.
That's so extremely cool. Also, did you love
that gamers in the house?
Extremely skilled segue I did there, Lauren, to get you boarded. You can support this show by heading over to patreon.com/CalazCon. And this is kind of late in the game to get in there, but it's always appreciated. With everyone introduced, it's time for us to get started. All right, today we are doing epilogue for the endowment, and I think I guess the very first thing that I need to get out of the way here is we need to finalize, drive clock expenditures, right?
Yeah.
I know that there were people there were some soft commitments and there were some, but I want to nail them down for sure. So starting with, I'm just going to go over what resources you all have. Calico, your drive was to find the stolen gate. You have 1 filled drive clock. Unless somebody donates a drive clock to you, you will not be able to fulfill that drive. We'll come back to how we're going to spend stuff after I've gone over everybody's resources here. Adrian, you have the drive to regain your people's independence. You have 2 full drive clocks, but unfortunately, this is a 4 clock drive. So unless you get 2 donated clocks, Decarabia will remain part of the DFS.
Yeah, turns out liberating a whole fucking society is 4 drive clocks.
It's tough for one person to do. Yeah, some would say impossible. Koa, you have the drive to secure safety for your found family. You have 1 drive clock. This is a 3 drive. This is considered a 3 drive drive because it involves your whole squad. If you don't get those 2 other clocks somehow, then none of the members of Blue Sky Endowment will ever find permanent safety.
Why did you have to make that your drive?
You know what, man? I thought I was doing something nice, and I didn't understand the mechanic.
Well, if somebody does donate those clocks, then you all will find safety, and that's nice.
I've already committed mine to Koa's clock.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry. I thought
It's
I was
okay.
honestly
It's gonna
doing
be
something
fine.
nice.
It's okay. This is fun and engaging. And then Winter's drive is to develop an underground network of avenues and places of refuge for anyone who needs it. You have 2 full drive clocks there. But again, this is a 3 drive clock proposition. So if you are not able to scare up that final bit of drive, you will never be able to provide refuge or escape for those in need. That's the board as we go into it. And I did want to ask people how they were spending drive. It sounds like Devin's kind of already gotten us started off here by saying Adrian is donating their 2 clocks to Koa, right?
Yes.
Cool. So Koa, that does give you the 3 drive clocks you need to achieve your drive. Would you like to spend them?
To complete this?
Yeah. To
Of
complete
course.
your drive. Okay. This means that the Blue Sky Endowment will find safety. Its members will find safety ultimately in these epilogues, which is nice. So keep that, we're not going to go into deep what that looks like right now because that's kind of the whole point of the epilogues. We're going to have the entire epilogue, process to sort of explore that. So that's Koa and Adrian off the board here as far as spending and moving drive around. And that leaves us with just Calico and Winter. Between the 2 of you, you have enough to accomplish 1 of your 2 drives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this, and it's weird to me to, in the grand scheme of the story, only have the other gate users show up once, and we don't know why, and then they just leave.
I'm sorry.
And for Calico to never find them, but at the same time, the epilogue, I don't think is enough to explore that.
See, my just to preview, my thoughts for the epilogue would be I know that Austin's notes say that you would lose the trail of the gate user, but I actually think that the way your drive is written, we could have and I guess what I sort of envisioned for Calico, and certainly, this is just one thought. I think if you can't fulfill that drive to find the stolen gate itself, that doesn't mean that you'll lose the trail, I think. I envision a future for Calico where they are always one step behind.
Right, and a future for Calico that is always one step behind is the question becomes how long is that a thread they pursue? So I'm pretty sure that I'm going to give up my drive clock.
Fair enough.
To Winter, because I kind of agree with what you're saying, and I think that if everyone else is giving their drive clocks up now,
mm-hmm.
Calico doesn't give his up until like the time between the 1 year and 5 year from now, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like just pursuing this constant, always one step behind, always one step behind.
I see what you're
finally is
saying.
like,
So you
I gotta
would spend
be
that
done.
first year. Okay. Well, let's not get too far ahead, but it sounds like we've got a good idea for what happens.
Yeah,
right?
I guess I'm mostly pitching like, how does that sound to other people involved?
To me, that sounds
Yeah, it sounds
fine.
good.
Yeah. The rest of y'all, I'm.
The other thing I wanted to mention with that regarding Winter's drive, Winter's already been doing a lot of that.
Right. Well, it just means that, yeah, exactly. If it didn't come through, that would have some kind of tragic implications, I think. Right.
Oh, like what they've been doing falls apart.
Yeah, exactly. Or ultimately was ineffective. But what it
that's
sounds
brutal.
like is that kind of 1 year on, Lauren, or not Lauren, but Calico will sort of donate that drive, and so we might narrate struggles for that first year and then it getting better. If you're okay with that, Marigold.
Yeah, of course.
Is that kind of, and
Takes a long time
that's,
to do
and that's
this.
kind of like, that's sort of representing, it sounded like to me, like Lauren was saying, like it takes about a year for Calico to like give up on that drive and sort of therefore mechanically donate the drive to Winter. Is that what I'm hearing?
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's the case, and that honestly really, really plays nicely with my belief about Winter, which I think I'm missing a belief about Winter now that I look at it.
Uh-oh. All right, well, that gets all of the drive clock stuff squared away, and we can, we'll go over that throughout the rest of this epilogue stage here. But that was step one of our epilogue here, establishing the pilot's drive and knowing what drive clocks were and weren't spent, so we know what can and cannot happen for drive clock expenditures here. For the listener and viewer, this is a slightly more like structured session than we're usually doing, because we're not playing Beam Saber per se here, but we are still embodying our characters and the world that they live in. So we're going to begin here by, I'm going to go through each pilot asking a question about a belief to everyone else round robin style. This means that each player asks one question and then another asks a question. Once all players have asked a question, a new round of questions begins. So I think
Are
we're
we
going
looking at each other's beliefs and asking questions about them? Is
I
that how that
think
works?
you're asking questions about your beliefs. Like, this is like,
Oh, okay.
you know what I mean? Like, you didn't get to fill the drive clocks here, but this is like a nice way for us to, go around and kind of fill that out. Yeah, it does look like you're missing a belief with Winter there, Calico. So make sure you throw one down before we.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I think I'm going to start with Edrian here because they are dead. And I think that's interesting. So which belief of yours do you want to start by asking a question about here, Weaver?
This is based on my own beliefs, right?
I think so. I don't know. We're reading the same instructions here,
Yeah,
I think so. I think it's like as if we had filled it.
As
right?
if you'd
Like,
filled up the
that's
clocks.
kind of the idea.
I think that's the idea.
the Koa stuff is easy, so I feel like I want to do a Winter or Calico thing.
Can you do Winter first so I can finish writing this belief?
Totally.
There we go. So what's one of your beliefs about Winter?
Well, my two beliefs with Winter are we are both disposable tools forcefully assimilated by the DFS, and Winter has proven to be a comrade.
So which of those two do you want to ask Winter about?
So my belief with Winter is we are both disposable tools forcefully assimilated by the DFS. Do you feel like you've been disposable to the DFS?
That's a good question. I feel like my personhood is disposable. What I represent as like a combined person is less disposable. But as soon as they figure out how to do what I did, they don't need me. So yes, ultimately, yes.
Interesting. See, okay, there we go. I think that's what we're looking for, right? Like a interesting reflection on that. And on that note, then I'm gonna kick it over to to Koa next. Koa, what's one of your beliefs about one of your favorite, not favorites, one of your fellow?
Who's your favorite?
Who's your favorite pilot?
You mean one of my 3 favorites?
What's one of your beliefs about either Adrian, Calico, or Winter?
First and foremost, I want to answer who my favorite pilot is. My favorite pilot is Christine for doing all this stuff for us.
Christine's all of our favorite pilot.
Okay, I wanted to start this off a little bit cute, and I'm very sorry for this, Lauren.
Hell yeah.
How did Calico, what did Calico do to prove me right about being the most worthwhile nut to crack? What's an action that they would do where they knew that Koa would be proud of them?
Ooh.
See, here's the thing, is I get to answer this truthfully.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You do.
And I think the answer is a negative.
Oh,
no. They don't. Calico doesn't do anything to prove this right. I think Calico is going to be the most worthwhile nut to crack. A truth about that, you ask what Calico does that proves that right, and I don't think they do anything that proves that right.
That's hilarious.
Because
I love this.
I look at our relationship and I look at who Calico is, and I think a lot of what we've seen over the course of this is Calico is someone who is so disconnected from the organism they were a part of that they are slowly sliding into kind of nothingness. Not nothingness, but paranoia and anger and have lost all this sense of community that they once had around them. And I don't know that this is a thing they can get back with what they've got because of the nature they see the world in. Calico is going to be the most worthwhile nut to crack. Gosh, I can't think of anything Calico does right. And maybe it's down the line 5 years from now or whatever, you finally get a nice email or a card from Calico, and it's just the barest amount of not serious human communication, if that makes sense.
That is real. That's so good. It's like a Father's Day card.
Amazing.
Right. Oh no, that's exactly what it is. It's a Father's Day card. That is right. Perfect, because
we don't want to jump too far into epilogues here, but
we'll get there. Beautiful. But I think that's exactly what it is. You do get a Father's Day card from Calico, that I'm sure is more about Adelaide than it is.
It's
about
congratulations on continuing to raise your prodigy daughter. Right?
Oh, it's a mug that says "World's Best Dad / Mech Captain."
You could tell he tried to remove the bottom part with acetone, but it just wouldn't come off.
It's a card that says "To a Great Dad," and you open it up, and Calico has handwritten in there, Sorry for that one time I almost shot you with a mech gun." And okay. All right. Next up on my list that is Marigold.
I will ask one of Koa. I just have one here.
Just got one with Koa.
So Koa has more to live for than the rest of us. We will protect him at all costs, is my belief. This feels pretty straightforward. But Koa, what do you feel like you have to live for?
So I can say the thing, but then don't go into detail, correct?
I would say just don't go into detail about what you do in the weeks or year after, you know what I mean? Because that's the thing we're gonna. But keep those things in mind, right?
Okay.
If you have those
but I can
ideas,
say it, right?
Yeah, and maybe you could even jot a thing down to be I want to make sure I highlight this during my 1 year on scene, right?
I would say that he has more to live for because he opens up his own school.
Oh, okay. Yeah, exactly. I just don't want us to get to the actual epilogue right. part of this, and then us to be all oh, well, we already kind of said it all during questions,
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay, neat. I like that. That's a good answer. So Koa continuing to live for the youngsters. Lauren, moment of
Yes.
truth here, buddy. Did we get that second belief about whoever?
We did get the second belief about Winter, but I want to keep the Koa train going.
Yeah, let's keep that train going.
Because this piggybacks very nicely off of Koa has more to live for than the rest of us. Nakoa will let us die to save his daughter. I have seen it. I will fend for myself around him. The thing I want to ask the truth about is, I guess I kind of already know the answer, is, yeah, would Nakoa let us all die to save his daughter?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry,
Damn.
but also
No,
like, but I mean,
Every
like,
single one of you.
you know, okay.
Yeah.
Can I say this really quick?
Mhm.
Peace. I took a lot of inspiration off of how you speak about your daughter.
Oh.
From this, and if it was like, I mean, like, you know, I'll put it very softly, right? Like, you know, let's say like we'd have to cancel a session or all that stuff in order for you to spend time, right? Like you would take that very
without
seriously.
hesitation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? But to extend that, if I was hanging off a cliff and you're like, oh, I can save my daughter, or you, JPG,
100%. You're all dead.
So
I
it's
don't
really
disagree.
just peace energy that I'm putting into all of this right now.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I don't.
Fair enough.
What I want to be clear of is I don't think
Girl dad.
I don't think Calico thinks you're a bad father and is not trying to say you're a bad person because of this. In fact, that is one of Koa's probably most admirable traits as far as Calico is concerned. Because, you know, during that conversation we did, well, no, that's not true. I do think you're a good dad. I just wanted to personally know, is that true? Or was Calico's vision wrong? And in this case, no, Calico's vision was correct. That was a 6, not a 1, basically, is what I was trying to confirm for myself. Cool.
Yeah.
That's all I need to know.
Okay. Very nice. Well, we keep going now. So that was like one complete round, but I'm going to mix it up for the second one. Since we spent so much time talking about Koa, let's go back to Koa here real quick. And Koa, what's one of your other beliefs about you're out of beliefs about Calico?
Mm-hmm. Let's go with Winter on this one.
Yeah, what's one of your beliefs about Winter?
Winter, later on in life, so one of my beliefs was Winter's experiencing life in an interesting way. What's something that you experience that you want to tell Koa and Adelaide about, but you'd never get the chance to?
That's a great format for how to do these questions, by the way.
Oh, thank you. This is to make up for the drive clock that I screwed everybody over on.
You didn't. I mean, by succeeding at your drive clock, now everybody gets to be fine.
No, it's both good and bad, because if it didn't get filled, it was bad for everybody. But if it does get filled, it's like great for everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
It's a gamble.
high risk, high reward situation.
You hacked the system.
All right.
Adrian's proud of you.
You know, I've been thinking a lot about Austin posted in the chat a little while ago saying something about, like, I wonder if, like, these two characters, like, share, you know, like, talk about, like, parenting, or, like, I can just picture them sharing, like, pictures of their kids with each other, and, like, that made him wonder if there were other pilots who were parents. And I was starting to think, like, I wonder if any of Winter's bodies are parents or were parents. And I think the answer is that they were, right? And that this war permanently separated them from their kids. And I think what Winter wanted to share was their memories of their kids and how that has blended together into not one memory, but we are one mind. And multiple of the bodies had kids. And I've said before that there were more people in the crew originally that didn't make it because we were stranded for so long. And some of those people had kids. So we have more memories from people than just the 8 of us that are left. So I think we just wanted to tell you stories about our kids and have a kind of like parent to parent moment, and never had the chance to do that.
Bummer. But good answer. So that was fantastic. Both Mary and JPG, great job with the question and the answer. Next, I'm gonna go counterclockwise around. So I'm gonna do Devin next. What's another one for Adrian?
Chaotic system you got going here.
It does, yeah. I'm trying to keep it as unpredictable as possible.
Calico, as the last, or one of the last of your people, what is your faith looking like these days? Oh, by the way, my belief is I respect Calico's faith, but the tech within them could be dangerous.
Calico's faith is interesting, especially these days. What I will say, because I do want to get more into this over the year and then the 5 years, the truth I can give you about that right now is that Calico's faith is waning. And not in a way where it's like they don't believe, but in a way where they are like, God, like, what is a priest without a parish? But, like, you can't make one. What, like, that's what it looks like.
Like a spiritual Ronin, almost.
But like, the Ronin still, at least the way we understand it culturally, still has, like, the knight errant flavor to it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go
true.
around and, like, do Ronin shit.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
do you go around and do priest shit even though you don't have a flock? Or, I mean, is this getting too deep into your...
Well, it's a lot of, like... Calico's religion is a closed practice in many ways. Like, it was very specific to the fleet. I don't know that you could just, like, bring new people into that. Or if you do, it requires such a different level of cultural understanding. I would liken it to his position is very similar to Aang towards the end of Avatar: The Last Airbender and the times in between that and Korra, where it's like, okay, what do you do to rebuild a thing that is both culture and religion? Like, you have to let new people who are not part of that culture into it in order to rebuild it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you have also become your culture's avatar of death.
Right.
Like, that is such a weird position to be in. So what I would say is where Calico is taking it is like, what is his faith like? Is probably documenting the dying days of his faith.
Oh, wow.
Oh, God, that's cool.
He is the final act of time and reason.
Damn.
Jesus.
Okay, that's a terrifying answer to a relatively innocuous question. And it also brings us to Lauren as our next question asker.
Yeah, there's I have so many good ones. And so yeah, I'll jump over to Adrian. Let's go. Adrian and I could find solace in one another being swallowed by this empire, but we are just too different. I am not aware, necessarily, Calico's not aware, that Adrian faked their death, right?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. And that final scene, I think, with us flying away. Adrian, do you think that on a long enough timeline we could have found solace within one another? Could Calico have been saved by their friendship with Adrian? Or did Adrian really just view Calico as a means to an end?
I guess the counter question I have to answer your question is, like, where did Calico, like, see that difference most starkly?
The apex, the zenith, the crux of that whole thing was when I abandoned my immediate search for the person at the party to help you, and then Adrian stressed out and had to leave the scene, which Calico interpreted as I gave up what I was doing to help you because I believed in this, and you said you would help me, and then you bailed.
Well, to be fair, it wasn't helping me. It was helping the mission of the whole squad.
Right. And in Calico's mind, it was like, okay, we're going to do things your way. Again, this is you're more interested in setting up the dominoes than knocking them down.
Gotcha.
Kind of a thing. Like, I think that was the moment where it's like, we are just too different. You know, for Calico, that kind of solidified that. But, you know, I want to know as a player, like, at the end, did Edrian really just view Calico as another domino to be set up, or you know, could they have eventually become friends and found solace in one another?
I feel like that's hard to answer, because I think potentially yes, but both Calico and Edrian were so like stubborn in what they considered praxis for their like ideology.
Yeah.
And I think if like somehow that like communication could have happened where we like could understand each other, then probably yes. But in all of our interactions, that didn't seem like it was happening.
So it is. My belief is true. We could find solace in one another being swallowed by the Empire, but we are just too different.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe Adrian left some breadcrumbs behind for us to connect in some way in the future, but you know, we'll see.
Yeah. All right, that satisfies my question.
That was a fantastic one. All right, this round we'll close out with Marigold here. Marigold, let's see here. You have a few more beliefs about people.
Calico knew one of my bodies from before and has a hard time believing they prefer this form of existence. We will convince them. How did that go? Did you end up spending a lot of time with Body 3? Or with Winter?
I remember there were like
we saw some on-screen stuff.
Yeah.
We went to the shooting range kind of thing.
You think a couple cut looses together, right?
Yeah. Actually, Winter, I think, is the person Calico had probably the most screen time with in the latter half of this season. The earliest half, it was a lot of Edrian, but even though the most charged moments were with Koa, they spent a lot of time with Winter, and so many of my beliefs kind of with Winter revolve around that. And you convinced Calico 100% that they I don't know so much so that Calico believes they prefer that so much as through their eyes, Calico has seen that it is a method of community and never having to be alone. In so many ways, Winter is Calico's foil, which one of my connections and beliefs represents that very, very perfectly, I think. I think, yes, as we go towards the end of it, you know, Calico sees like y'all are together even when you're not, and you were still able to, for a time, allow Deus Ex in, and that was like something Calico knows they're never going to have without drastic change in their life.
Absolutely.
And he comes from a culture where everything is so static. Like if you've got a role, that's your role. Again, he's kind of his culture's embodiment of death in many ways, or the end. So yeah, Calico does believe that they can understand why they would prefer that, and does believe that the choice they've made is meaningful and good for them, and that they do truly like living as a collective. Calico's mind is changed over the course of this, for sure.
Very good. Very good. Okay, I think we just actually had several people in a row have beliefs about Calico, which, according to the extremely scientific rules I set up earlier, means Lauren goes first this time. And now we go clockwise just to mix it up again. So,
all right.
Calico, what's one of your beliefs about the others?
I have some good beliefs here.
You've done one from Koa and one from Edrian. Do you want to do one from Winter to
I don't know. I kind of want to save both my Winter ones for last.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Except I want my Koa one to be last. So I'll finish up Edrian.
Okay.
I have Weaver is more interested in setting up the dominoes than knocking them down. Yeah, how true does that remain? Does Edrian ever want to and seize the opportunity to sort of be in the limelight, to be seen as a revolutionary, to be someone that is a symbol in many ways that people look up to, or do they continue to operate in the shadows indefinitely?
I mean, I think we'll see in our epilogue, but I think the short answer to that question is no for the war that we were in, yes for the war that they are joining.
Gotcha.
So like they didn't want to be a symbol in a war they didn't consider theirs.
Okay, that yeah, I guess that's a much more appropriate answer to what
That's
I think
such an intriguing
answer.
answer.
A better
Also,
question would have been is like, does Adrian themselves want to be a symbol?
I think no.
Okay, cool.
But also regarding like your literal phrasing of your belief, yeah, I set up those dominoes and then I knocked them down. That's where I am now, knocking down dominoes.
Yeah, like towards the end, you started knocking down dominoes.
I just had a lot of dominoes.
In many ways, ones that you've been setting up for so long. Again, it's there's a lot of interesting stuff with Calico not seeing as big a picture as they think they can.
Right.
Despite being like a fucking augur.
Psychic, yeah.
That's
like the fun thing to explore with, right? Is to be like, oh, yeah.
Calico kind
That's
of
really
literally
funny.
misses the trees for the forest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like
you
the
can see the
opposite.
future, but you can't see what your like buddy's up to
Right.
in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It just makes me think of like a bunch of kids, and one's like keeps setting up these dominoes, right? And then the other kid is like, just keep setting up dominoes, and then comes in and knocks them down. It's like, no,
Right. I'm working
This
on
was supposed to be
a
bigger.
project here.
I'm making
Stop
a whole
knocking over my
Rube Goldberg
dominoes.
machine.
Yeah. I'm gonna put this on
I'm
TikTok.
working on
It's gonna
something.
get 2.5 million views. All right. So actually, that brings us around to Adrian. What's another one of your beliefs about someone you want to talk about?
I have two Koa ones, so I might as well do one of them now.
Sure.
So one of my beliefs is I appreciate Koa's help getting out of jail, but I don't know if I can commit to the terms of the plea. My question for that is, what do you tell our parole officer?
I think the eulogies that Koa gives from here on out are like paint Adrian in unreasonably like saintly sort of light.
Oh, also, Adrian, you might be interested to know this, and because I only bring this up now because it might be relevant to how Koa answers. By the time this comes out, the intro for the last episode that the audience would have listened to, after Adrian goes, heavy air quotes, dies, Havoc's official recommendation to DFS Command is that Adrian be posthumously pardoned of all crimes, and that they be memorialized with honors as a war hero.
That's so fucking funny, considering I tried to delete myself from all of the databases.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but the people who know you personally are like, what happened with Weaver?
Oh my god,
That's so funny.
But yeah, so I don't know if that colors how your eulogy would have gone there, JPG. But I thought it was info you might want to know.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I think there is. You ever hear somebody like speak about the dead and it's like unreasonably sweet, and you can't.
Yeah, you're like, there's
say
no way that
anything?
guy wasn't a little bit of an asshole.
Yeah,
right?
like you can't say anything because they're dead,
Mhm.
right? But like you're like, no, I knew him and he was kind of an ass, and so yeah. I would say that I spend all of my waking hours just eulogizing Adrian in a way that he would absolutely hate and I would absolutely love.
Adrian, I have a follow-up question for you. Are you watching any of that happen? Did you send like a spy drone to your own funeral?
That's so funny. I don't know. Less
There's
because,
no wrong answer here, but
yeah.
there is.
I think maybe yes, but not because I care about how I'm celebrated, but mainly just to check in on my friends.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get into that in the weeks after.
I think there's some stuff that I already kind of hinted at in play.
Yeah, absolutely. That was cute. I liked that.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of Koa, let's hit another one of your beliefs here.
So next up is Winter has a softer side that I want to help nurture. Winter, who's somebody that you help nurture later on that we saw on screen during this campaign?
I think it's Deus Ex.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Oh.
Your rival.
Yeah. I mean, we know where each other are at all times, so we have to figure out how to make that work. And
True.
So I think we just create, end up spending more time together and just learning more about what the other person's actual beliefs are.
Sure.
And what they're fighting for and everything like that. And I think we end up just kind of having each other's backs from different, positions in the conflict, pursuing our own kind of things and helping each other in that way. And I think because Deus is in kind of a different situation than I am,
Deus is Jovangelion and still is.
Oh, I meant the kind of hive situation that I have.
Yes, that's also true.
I think we bring kind of a more, we're able to bring more perspective to their collective as far as the multiple kinds of experiences that we've had throughout our lives. Yeah, just kind of take care of them that way.
Next up is Marigold. What's a belief that you would like to ask a question about here?
Adrian has views that align with ours. They can help us save others, no matter where they come from. And we've seen a lot of this, or we've seen some of this, anyway. So I guess my question is, was I right about the not really caring where people come from as long as, if they need protection and they need to be rescued and they need to be helped moved to a safer position, as long as, I'm not talking about the brass or anything like that, obviously, but mostly innocence, which oftentimes does include, ground troops. But anyway, I'm expounding too much, but, is there a moment or an anecdote or something where that was proven true or false?
Yeah, I think based off of Adrian's actions, that's very true. Because Adrian stayed as long as they did in the Logel situation. Granted, a lot of that was, buying time to set up all the freaking dominoes, as we mentioned. But I was out there doing the work. I was out there helping people. I didn't phone in any of those missions.
Yeah.
Despite trying to get the fuck out, I was constantly putting myself in danger to make sure that people were going to be okay.
One of our most valuable assets.
For sure.
And trying to do things in non-violent and sneaky ways that didn't involve, destruction.
Yeah, definitely.
Granted, I did rig all of those bombs to explode, but
Hey, sometimes you gotta rig some bombs to explode, So we're gonna stay on Marigold here. You're gonna pick another person here, Mary.
All right, let's go ahead and finish up Calico. Calico's armor guards more than their physical form. Is the belief I wrote. Calico?
Well, there's so many good ways to interpret that.
Yeah, you can just riff.
Oh, okay, yeah. If do you want to know, is that true? Does Calico's armor guard more than their physical form? Absolutely. It guards. It's from a what's the word I'm looking for? Not anecdotal.
Oh, just to jump in for 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think where that came from was you being able to hide how you're feeling in your your current state of duress or lack thereof or whatever behind that as well. But I'm also just interested to hear how you interpret it too.
It for sure is a way that he uses to hide so much about himself because people go look, oh, big big armor guy who is always stoic and angry, and that kind of gives him, or not angry, but like stoic and dour, and that give like the armor kind of accentuates that of kind of having a threatening aura that's like, I think we often likened him to just like a space marine standing in a room full of normal people. And like, even though he's not doing anything scary or mean or bad or angry, like you don't want to go talk to that guy. He's huge and terrifying.
Yeah, I don't want to.
It was definitely for him like a symbol of office that he used to not let people in. You know, people would look at that and be like, damn, that's a big guy. I don't want to fuck with that. And he was fine to have that because he was lost in a place he did not want to be. So I think, you know, yes, it hides his emotions, his true opinions on things. He can kind of keep behind it because it keeps people away from him. But more than that, as we went on, we saw it was a thing he used to defend other people. He put himself in danger because he had armor, and not like literally just in the physical sense, but it was his purpose to be death and a defender of others. And if we got more into his kind of spiritual role, like, yeah, again, that's what he was supposed to do. Be a defender, but he had no fleet left to defend, which just meant he was some sort of weird wandering angel of death. And yeah, I think it's totally true that he hid behind that armor when if he'd have opened up to more people, he probably would have had a better life.
Okay, good answer. Let's jump right off from there and say, Calico, let's knock out another one of those beliefs of yours.
Winter sees all the angles, but they never think far enough ahead. I think for me personally, like in the context of this game, this has been proven very, very untrue. So what I guess I would like to ask, the truth about this is, how far ahead does Winter plan? And I don't just mean like for a mission or something. I mean like effectively, right? The collective, if you do it right, the hive will never die because you could just keep bringing in younger members. As a hive, how long have they planned out? You know, how far do the actions the hive wants to undertake go, knowing they could last forever if they chose?
Oh, wow. Interesting. That's a really interesting question because Winter doesn't plan on adding people to the hive. I mean, we kind of did with Deos, but that's kind of different.
And the other two, like 7 and 8, were theoretically members that were already of the hive that were recovered, right?
Yeah. When it comes to like lifespan, 2 of us are artificial, so with like proper upkeep, we could potentially live for a really, really long time or forever. But to answer your actual question, the way we think about planning and the way we think about the future is mostly a human way of thinking about it. And what I mean by that is like we have our demise like factored in like a normal amount of like, we figure like once the youngest of us reaches however the old people normally make it in the future, 160 or whatever, who knows, that will be like more or less the end, knowing that like we do have the artificials and like who knows, like maybe we'll keep going that way, but wanting it more to be like our actions now to be continued through community and not necessarily through our continued efforts, but to be continued through the community that we've built along the way to secure and safeguard refugees.
Does that answer your question there, Lauren, you think? Or
I think so. I do have one final kind of bit to go off
sure.
of. So you said you don't plan on adding new people, but at one point an offer was extended to Calico to join.
That's true.
Is that still on the table?
That would be, yeah.
Okay.
It's not the kind of thing that we offer lightly. And it's not the kind of thing we like think of and pursue. Do you know
Right,
what I
it's
mean?
not something you're doing
It's not
cynically.
like, oh, we need to add another body.
Right. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's not something that like factors into like long-term plans. You know, it's like, oh well, if we meet somebody and like it seems like a good idea, then
Cool.
yeah, we can approach that. But
Does that answer your question then, Lauren?
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
Awesome. I'm gonna kick it over to JPG.
Sure. Let's do Adrian next, because I got 2 of those.
Sure.
Adrian is more redeemable than they think themselves to be.
Now this is an interesting belief to have now that you think that Adrian is dead.
Yes. So, obviously, we're not going to have contact or anything. So, what do you do to honor the things that Koa has done for you?
Okay, I'm going to suggest a thing that like I was kind of hinting at.
Okay.
This might seem a little fucked up, but
Adrian doing something fucked up? I can't possibly imagine
I can't even
that.
imagine.
well,
That'd be
remember
so
how
great.
remember how I like logged into all of your like computers and stuff like that, so like I could be in your systems to like help you out in that list mission. But then I used that as like a way to like give you my final words or whatever.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
You just have like a little like Adrian AI that like helps you out and helps you with like computer shit and is like helping tutor.
Is it your proxy? Your old proxy?
No, here's the thing. I'm doing a different bit. So like one of my running bits with Adrian is that they could never like tell the difference between an AI and a real person.
They like reverse Turing test blind.
Yeah, this isn't an AI. This is the actual
Right.
Adrian.
Uh-huh.
Under the guise of being a little like supportive AI.
Oh my god,
That's so funny.
that's so funny.
Okay, that's cute. I like that. I don't think that's fucked up. I think that's adorable.
That's
okay.
really funny.
And then I'm actually going to kick it over to Devin here, to Adrian themselves. You're almost out of beliefs. You only got 2 left.
Yeah. I didn't end up going on a lot of
Actually, wait, hold on. I
Cabooses?
think everyone has 2 left.
Oh, really?
I
Okay.
think this worked out. It looks like Winter is the only one who has like 1 less belief than everyone else, and it probably has something to do with like having. I think you had filled up your clock with Koa, right? So we're gonna just take it back up here. So gonna bring us back around to Devin.
All right. Winter's pledge. Winter has proven to be a comrade.
You have what's your question about that, I guess?
It's tough because I don't want to step on any of Winter's epilogue stuff in terms of their revolutionary activity.
Yeah, I can think of like a big example, but it will be epilogue.
Yeah.
Ish.
Because like I don't question your commitment to to change.
Well, maybe it's just that. Like, are you as committed as like Winter? Are you as committed as Adrian thinks you are?
Yeah.
I feel like I need to ask something more specific though.
Okay, fair enough.
Right.
I was just throwing it out there if we were having trouble.
Yes, I am.
Trying to facilitate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's okay if some of these are shorter, right? Like,
Okay. I guess. Okay. This is kind of a tangential angle on this.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. I kind of hinted at this in the like ending episode, but it's like it's surprising that Adrian chose to like sacrifice themselves for a cause that you know that they weren't really that invested in. So, as a fellow revolutionary comrade, do you think I'm actually dead, or do you think I'm
do you suspect?
Yeah, do you think I'm scheming out here?
I think so. I think we were picking up what you were laying down a little bit.
It would be funny if both Calico and Koa don't understand, but
Right, well, because we know for sure Koa definitely thinks you're like dead
Yeah.
and is like extremely upset about
but it'd be funny if like Winter and Adelaide knew.
Yeah.
I mean, Adelaide does
yeah.
know.
Yeah, Adelaide totally knows.
Yeah. Yeah, I think yes.
We'll look
I think yes.
we'll look into this
I
in the
think
epilogue, but I think it's so funny if like I used Adelaide as a proxy to sort of like
Yeah.
let everybody know that I'm not dead, but like Koa's just so emotional that he doesn't understand.
Right. Well, and you've even got the AI.
No, this is just the AI. Yeah. Yeah. He thinks that's all she's talking about. Yeah.
Okay. So
he just
also,
thinks it's very sweet. He thinks it's very like, Uncle Adrian's always gonna be around.
It's a little like chibi version of them.
I did so I did count, Mary. I think you have 5 beliefs, so does Adrian. It was just that you started this round. Everyone has 5 beliefs except for Koa, who I think has 6. So Koa's gonna get to go like 1 extra time. So that was good. So we got Mary and Devin this round. Let's do speaking of Koa, let's go ahead and knock one of Koa's out here.
Sure. Let's do Winter.
Okay.
So Winter's Pledge has some unique humanity in there, and I want to bring it out. I don't want to ask like a yes or no question, but knowing you, Mary, like knowing us in general, like I know that we're going to expand on it. So is it okay if I ask a yes or no question on this?
Yes.
That's my question. Sorry. Okay. So is there something that Winter does to, like, I guess, share his humanity with others?
Ooh.
Winter's such a unique, like amalgamation of a ton of things in this, right? So, like, what's something that they do that makes them connect with others?
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, so many things, right? This isn't something we like really talk about very much. Or this is kind of like a reverse question back to Koa, but I wonder, I guess, if Winter and Koa ever slept together.
Oh, I don't think so. Do we think that?
I don't think Koa ever slept with anybody except Adelaide's mom.
Yeah, right. It's the Goofy movie scenario where, like, well, I know you've had sex once.
Technically, Goofy
how?
has had sex. It must have happened once. But
it had to happen.
There's no proof that it
once.
happened more than that.
It's not that hard to imagine Goofy having sex, you cowards.
Yeah, I kind of like imagine that, in the Goofy movie scenario where you've got like Teenage Max, like the things that make Goofy like a goofus and a dork these days are probably the things that made him like a fuck machine when he was like 17.
Please stop. Please stop right now.
So anyway, short answer is probably no.
Gosh.
Oh god, no, I don't think so. But I think Koa had a little bit of a crush on our favorite. It was Body 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was before he understood your consciousness, if that makes sense.
Are you saying that? Okay. Are you saying that Koa's too straight to be attracted to like a sort of gender fluid?
I think he's terminally straight.
Hive?
Yeah, I think he's terminally straight. Yes.
Interesting.
Poor guy.
That's the funniest way this could possibly go. Lauren, what's your what? I've fully lost control of this.
I'm so sorry.
Lauren, what fucking thing are you talking about?
Here's Calico's kind of last belief about Winter.
Uh-huh.
And it's everything I have lost, Winter stands to gain.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I think we'll get a heavier answer to this as we do some drive stuff. But my question would be, where does Winter see themselves inside of the community they are building? What role? What aspects?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What role do you see yourself in, Winter?
I think we see ourselves as like the sinew that holds it together.
Nice.
Not like the voice commanding it or like even like the feet mobilizing it, but the pieces that connect all the pieces together so that it functions.
Awesome. Speaking of Winter, let's do your last belief here.
Okay. So my last belief for Edrian is Edrian thinks the best way out is through, and I'm yet to be convinced. I guess first of all, is that what Edrian thinks?
I mean, that's kind of what their plot arc was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did get out, and they did get out by getting through.
Can't go under it.
Yeah.
Can't go around it.
Go around it.
Can't go over it. Gotta go through it. Sorry, my daughter loves that.
I think, yeah, it's good. It's so nice with all the like hand motions and everything too. But
it's so funny how everybody was right about Adrian.
Yeah,
like everybody's beliefs about me are like,
they're
yeah,
just like 100% true.
That's basically how that worked out.
So funny.
Yeah, but I think I am seeing how you executed your plan. I think I'm a little convinced. I think it might not be the best way for me to operate, but I like see the value of doing that.
I guess that was going to be my counterpoint is like, do you see more value in direct action now?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Next up, I want to hear from, we have one more belief from Koa, right?
Yes.
It's also a belief about Adrian. Let's hear about Adrian. What you think about Adrian? Wow. Oh, this one is heartbreaking.
That's why I wanted to save her for last. Adrian is a friend who will always have my back.
I think that's already been answered, right?
Yeah.
It has already been answered, but, you know, in the spirit of what we're trying to do right now, right?
This perfectly feeds into my last question, too.
Because you already set up something surprising for me.
With the
AI,
heavy air
that's
quotes
really
AI.
cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the quote-unquote, with the heavy quotes AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, Adelaide is getting scary good at, like, computer stuff.
Well, okay, so that's actually, this actually connects to what I wanted to ask. If you always have my back, what did you do for Adelaide to make sure that she's set up for the rest of her life?
Oh, jeez.
Ooh, good question.
Well, you know, depends how you define setup.
Oh, God, I already love this answer.
I've definitely set her up with the skill set to both do what I can do and do it better.
Oh.
And whether or not that's the future you want for her is to be determined.
Hacker girl.
She might be the true revolutionary leader that comes out of all of this.
It's true. We've certainly set her up to be quite the force to be reckoned with.
You know, in 20, 25 years.
Well, she's already like 6, right? So more like 20 years. I mean, she'll probably be dangerous in 10 years.
Yeah, she's an absolute monster now. Are you kidding me?
All right. So you said that leads well into your last question. So then I'll kick it to you, Adrian.
Yeah. So my last belief is Koa has proven to be a good friend, but he needs to prove to me that he's a comrade. I mean, you don't know it's me kind of like still in your life, but like, does my death, my quote unquote death, like galvanize you to like continue the...
Yeah, because we started like a little bit of radicalization with Koa, right?
Yeah.
Like, does that continue?
It continues through education, because I think a lot of the curriculum at the school that I start is like, oh, hey, like this is like introduction to radicalization. And, and like, oh,
that's
yeah.
a personal process. You can't teach that.
Interesting.
But
you can like share stories of how people were radicalized.
Yeah, like,
right?
how do people understand
radicalization as a literature, as like a literary device or something? I don't know. All right, all right.
So he does, and it's through education. So I think Koa thinks that Adrian would get a kick that he's helping out the next generation with this.
Koa's teaching subversive shit in class. Calco, are you the last one I have left?
I think I might be
checking. I think everybody else is checked off, right? So
this is kind of a perfect one to end on.
Calico, tell us about your last belief.
My last belief, and it's perfect as a question JPG, I just need you to let me know if it's true. Koa's cheerful disposition will not save them from their fate.
I think you're right. That his cheerful disposition doesn't save him from his fate. Because his fate is to radicalize the next generation. So yeah, being cheery helps, but being cheery doesn't pay the bills, if this makes sense.
Is that really true for Koa? Like,
I think there's more I
feel personally, if I may, I feel Koa would be too afraid to take the actual steps necessary to get there because it would put his daughter in danger. It seems to me that if Koa is going to do the work to kind of become a revolutionary and you think that that's his fate, does that actually jive with him not putting his... Does he reach a point where he's willing to put his daughter in danger? And how does that conflict with he would let everyone die to save her?
See, because, oh man, this one's tough.
Yeah.
But because to be easy. We have to defend... what I want is that I want to define what you think Koa's fate is. Because I think that's where we're in disagreement, right?
Well, so you said that his fate is to become a revolutionary.
No, I don't.
Or someone who educates
revolutionaries.
Others?
Yes.
Yeah, someone who guides other younger people to revolutionary ideas, I guess.
Which to me is like, how much do you call yourself that and do that without actually taking the action? Like just effectively like reading theory to people in a classroom. And so is that his fate is that he refuses to put Adelaide in any danger and thus never actually engages in the practice, just educates others on it?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, if we're talking about, like... Well, okay, yes. Like, he educates, but he never takes part. That's a really good way to think about it. Because I think his fate is to... It's like the always a bridesmaid, never a bride scenario.
And he could get out there and he could do
100%.
But he won't.
Yeah, he will not.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to CalazCon. This episode was edited and sound balanced by Christine Blight. You can reach her for voice acting at CVBlight@gmail.com. The show's music is by Devin Nelson. You can find them on all social media at Devin Decibel. If you'd like to support CalazCon, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/CalazCon. Please tell your friends about the show too. Remember, all glory to Calazar.